Okay, so the next thing that we're ready to do is make a detailed drawing for our UBracket. You always have to have your model created first before you can create a detailed drawing of it, okay? And that detailed drawing is going to be parametrically connected to that model. And we'll talk about what that means, and we'll kind of show some examples of that. But I want to show you in learning plan number 4, as we go down, you'll notice that part number 2 here is we're now going to be making the drawing. Now, in chapter 8, they start the process of creating a detailed drawing, but I'm doing the process differently because we're going to be using WCTC borders. And so I'm going to show you where those are at. And there's 1 or 2 things about their dimensioning scheme that isn't to the standard. So I want to do it the correct way. So what I've done is I've created the guide for you for the UBracket. Okay. So what I want you to do is click on that and just have it available. So as we create our part, okay, we can kind of go back and forth and reference this. So I'm going to kind of keep it up in this window here and we'll kind of go back and forth. But this is now the drawing that we're going to be creating called a detail drawing. Again, details are here for us to manufacture it. And we're going to be pulling the drawing border in and all that kind of stuff and putting the dimensions on. Now, the borders. The borders are available for you here in our Canvas shell, but where I have the borders are all the way at the top of our modules. So if you go to modules, this is just above module number 1, I have the WCTC SolidWorks drawing borders. So if we click on here, you're going to notice that I have 3 files for inch borders and 1 for metric borders. Okay. The parts that you're going to be doing are all English borders, and I did all B-size borders. Now let's talk about that. There's different size in the English system. We have different size borders and we identify them as letters. There's A, B, and C. An A size is going to be an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper. A B size is going to be an 11 by 17. And then a C size is going to be 2 11 by 17s. I can't think of the dimensions right now, but bigger still. So physical pieces of paper, they're going to be what you're going to be on. We're going to be using the B size borders for all of the parts that we're going to be doing. It's just, they just work out really nicely. So you don't have to download them all right now unless you want to. So the only one that you really need to download is going to be this B border. Okay. And all you want to do is next to it where this arrow is, you're just going to do the download and it's going to go to your downloads folder on the computer that you're on. Okay. Once you go to the downloads folder, so if I go to the downloads folder, I'll see that there is this WCTC B border. That's what that is, the latest thing that I did. You just want to take that and you want to put it someplace that you can recall it. I would suggest putting it in the same directory, the same place where you are going to be always getting your drawings from, where you're saving from. So like for me, for instance, if I go, it's going to be in my WCTC and I've got a SolidWorks for machinist folder. And then I've got each of my modules. And then there's a folder in there for my borders. Okay. So you just want to get it wherever it needs to be. So I'll give you a little bit of chance to get that downloaded, download at least the B size. If you want to do all of them at this time, go ahead and do that and have a directory for SolidWorks borders. That's fine. Or just the B size for right now is what we're going to be using. Resume recording. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is we want to make sure that our model is up here and available to us. Then up on the very top, you're going to notice that there is this sheet of paper. If I arrow down next to it, this is my opportunity to start a new file, a new part file, or I can make a drawing from this part that I already have up. And the same thing I can make an assembly, but we're going to focus on making a drawing. Okay, so up here next to, we're going to arrow down next to new. We're not going to take new. We're going to say make drawing from the part that's right here. So I'm going to click. All right. And now what's going to happen is you're going to have the opportunity to pick a template. The template that you see there is just going to be a drawing template. So you're simply going to click on drawing and you're going to hit OK. All right. Now, the next thing it's going to do is it's going to come up with a list of generic borders that they have in SolidWorks, okay, that were downloaded with the program. But we are not going to use that. We are going to use the WCTC border, okay? So we're going to hit browse at this point. Okay, we're going to hit browse. And what you're going to do now is you're going to navigate to where you saved. So in my case, I have mine in Mechanical Design Courses, and I have SolidWorks for Machinists, and then I have my SolidWorks borders file or folder. And then when I double click there, this is where they are. And I'm gonna select that B size border. Okay. Again, this is going to be different for where you have yours saved. And I suggest putting them in their own folder. And once they're there, you have to leave them there because it's always going to be looking to that folder. And then I'm going to hit OK or open. And now you're going to see a preview of it right here. All right. And then you're simply going to hit OK. All right. Now, before we start pulling anything in, what we're going to do is just like we did for our parts, we want to create a template so that when our dimensions come in, they're, you know, better. they're the right way. So we're going to go up to our little options area up here, and we are going to go over to document properties. Okay. And we're going to go through that same process that we did for our parts. And we're going to make sure that everything is the way it's supposed to be. So on the drafting standards page, make sure it says ANSI, okay? And then that you have uppercase for all three of these checked, all right? Then we're going to expand out, and we're going to go to balloons. Make sure it goes from ISO to ANSI. Datums, ISO to ANSI. GD&T, ISO to ANSI. All of these ISO to ANSI, except for Revision Cloud that doesn't have anything. Surface finish and weld symbols. So everything under annotations needs to go to ANSI. Okay, then you can collapse that. And then we're going to do the very same thing for dimensions, but we're going to go on the dimensions first. And you just want to make sure that your primary units here are 3. Okay. And then the other thing I need you to do, over on the right-hand side on dimensions, where it says break dimension extension lines, unclick break only around dimension arrows. Is yours clicked right now? Yeah, unclick it. So open that up and then make sure that the gap is 0.06 if it's not. I think that is the standard. Okay. So again, uncheck break only around dimensions and then make sure that it's 0.06 here.
Well, I need my extension lines, and beyond dimension line that match yours.
What are your numbers on there?
0.04.
Oh, they're fine. Yeah, it's not that big of a deal. Just as long as there is a gap. Okay, now we're going to go into each one underneath dimension, and we're going to do that same thing. Your ANSI to ISO if you need to. So double check it. Mine are ANSI already, which is good. Same thing there. Chamfer. If it's anything that is not ANSI, you want to change it to ANSI. Linear, go to the middle one for linear. Ordinate, radius, those look good. Okay. And then once those are all ANSI, you want to collapse that. And then we're going to go to center lines here. I think there's nothing there to do. Tables are good. Let's see, I don't need to expand that. let's go to detailing. Couple things here. Okay. Make sure that that it's checked with cosmetic threads. Okay, and GD&T. And then over on the right-hand side, we're gonna auto insert some things. We're gonna put in center marks for holes. Okay, we're not gonna add them for fillets. If you end up wanting to do those manually, you can, but we're not gonna add them for fillets. We will add them for slots. Okay. And then center marks, we're gonna put them in, not in the assembly, or well, you don't have to put them in the assembly because those you wanna do manually. But then we wanna go down to center lines and we wanna click that. Okay. So on the right-hand side here, center marks holes, center marks slots, and then center lines. Right. I think that should be good there. Let's double check our units. Again, this is going to be what you can actually put them in as. What they're on the dimensions were set here at the dimension level. And everything else should be good. Okay. So you should be able to hit OK here. Okay.
So you do want 5 units on the decimal?
Sure. Yeah, you can leave them at 5 or 4. Where it controls how many are on the drawing is at the dimension level where we wanted it to be 3. 3 is like a nice standard, and then we can always change that if we want to individually. I think some of them are 2 and 3 for what you're going to be doing here. So I always kind of set it at 3 because that's the most common. Okay, now what we're going to do is we are going to do a file, and we're going to do a save as, and we are going to save this as a template file. So we're going to arrow down, and you're going to go to the drawing templates. Okay. And you're going to rename this, and it's going to go to your drawing templates directory. So you want to go where those templates are that you save. And you're going to call this drawing underscore IPS underscore ANSI. And I'm going to call mine new. Okay. So make sure up here your path is to where you save your templates, and then you're going to save that. And that's going to be okay, save. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do a file, close. Okay. And all we did was we saved that template. So now when we go back in and we select that template, we don't have to go back in and change those things again. Okay. Just like we did for our parts. So now we're going to go underneath again, make drawing from part. And you should see your new one populate in here. Did you? But are you navigating to where do you see your folder up on the top here for what you?
No.
So let me do that again. File, close, don't save. So we're here on our part. And we're going to go to make a drawing. And if you have to, you might have to go to advanced and then go here. So if I go back to novice over here, I want to go to maybe like to advanced, and then it'll go to my template. Yours don't do that. Yours doesn't do that. And then the sheet format comes next. And then you're going to want to browse to your You're going to want to browse to where your borders are and pick the V size border, and then okay. Did you close it out after we did the saving? Okay. So then if that didn't work, I'm going to check virtually. Did you guys get it to work the way I demonstrated here? Out of curiosity. so that you would see the drawing populate in that folder. Christian said yes. I'm wondering if it's something with the way the thing is formatted. Well, we'll try something. Yes, although I don't get the option to preview. Oh, well, I'm not sure why that would be. There might be a check mark there. Chris says his did. Okay, so it seems like virtually off-site it's working. So what I would suggest for in the room here is go to File, Close Out first, and then go to like close out your model, and then reopen your model, and then go through go through it kind of like from scratch, if you would. So opening up that UBracket. Right, here we go. UBracket tutorial, which is this guy right here. Open. So just open the part first and then start over by going to make drawing from part up at the top here once it's there. And then it should go to your templates folder. And you should be able to select your new one. Yes.
Yeah.
Whatever you called your templates. So like when you were saving it before, I kind of identified at the top, make sure that you save it in that templates folder. And it should populate here. I'm not exactly sure why it's doing that. So what you'll have to do is just pull in your WCTC folder, and then we can kind of deal with it. We can change those couple things manually. Okay. All right. So does everybody have a WCTC border up at this time? Yeah. Okay.
And ask me to put a model view in.
Right. So we're going to do that now. So the next thing that we're going to do is you're going to want to expand out, if it isn't already, this template right here. I'm gonna put the chat down here. And the one that you want to go on is the view palette. The view palette. When you do the view palette, what should occur here, because you have your model open, because you opened your model first and then you're making a drawing from that model, you should see the different views that are over here on the right-hand side. Okay. The primary view we're going to pull in here is going to be the front view. And to do that, we're going to left click on the front view. Okay. Left click on the front view, and you're going to drag it over into the paper, and you're going to release when you see it about right here. Okay. This is now the view that is going to kind of be the central view of our entire drawing. Okay. We're going to now do a projected view straight up from this. Okay. And I'm going to accept this view right now. And then over on the drawing tab, because now what's happened is we're in a drawing mode. We're going to have a drawing tab, and we're going to go to projected view. And we're going to see that if I go over here, I haven't clicked yet, directly above, it's going to create a top view. And I just want to go a distance apart right about there. Okay. Now I could do a right side view. It's going to continue. I could do a right side view if I wanted to and click, but I'm not going to do that for this because it's not a view that we're going to add. But I am going to do one going up and to the right. So at an angle here. So we're going to create an isometric. And once you kind of show it going up and to the right, we're going to left click on it. Okay. So I'm going to do that one more time. I'm going to undo that. I'm going to undo that whole process. So once I'm here with my border, I'm going to expand out over here my view template. All right. If you need to. I'm sorry, palette.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go to front view. I'm going to left click on my front view, and I'm going to drag it out over here. Oops, it did. I didn't grab it. I don't think I grabbed it quite right.
So I don't have
Hang on.
all those keys there.
Another way that you can do it is you can go up to Model View. You want to browse and you want to grab the model that you're going to use. You can hit OK. And then now it's going to go right into inserting your front view. And it should be on the end here of your cursor, and you can left click. And now you can hit OK. And once you have that in place, you can do a projected view directly above. And then I'm going to go back over here, but I'm going to go up and to the right. I didn't click yet, but up and to the right, I'm going to left click to place it. And I want an isometric as well. Okay. Okay, so now you should have 3 views on your drawing. So now we're going to kind of play with them and manipulate them. It might not look exactly the way I have it here, and that's okay. So we're first going to select on, we're just going to left click to select the front view. And what ends up happening over here on the right-hand side, this is the dialog box for all of the properties of that particular view. What we want to do is we want to go down to Display Style, and you want to click on Hidden Lines Visible. Okay, Hidden Lines Visible. And for right now, that's all you should have to do. So you want to hit OK. Then you're going to go up and you're going to do the very same thing in the top view. You're going to left click it, go down to Display Style, and you want that also to be Hidden Lines Visible. Okay. And here it says use the parent style. So it probably went with the parent, which was our front view. Now, this isometric, if you go kind of on those orange lines that go around, you're going to get the ability to move it. We're going to left click it. We're going to drag it over here up in the corner. Okay, kind of like out of the way. An isometric is a nice view because it helps, especially people who aren't great at reading prints. It kind of gives them perspective, right? Because prints are orthographically projected. It's where you look straight on in different views. Now, this one's going to look different. We are going to change this one. So we're going to select this view. You're going to get your dialog box. But for display style, we're going to go to shaded with edges. We're going to left click on that, and we're going to do that. Okay, shaded with edges. And that's going to kind of sit up in the corner for us, and that's going to stay there. Now, as I'm looking at my views here, I'm like, you know, there's a lot of space on this V-size drawing. And if we look down at the bottom right here, this is the scale that it brought it in as. It brought it in at what we call 1/2 scale. So 1:2 means that it didn't show it full size. So it's half of what the full size would be. So we can arrow down on this, and we're going to get all of the different scale options. Let's go to 1:1 first, and let's see what happens when we do 1:1. Okay. All the views get much bigger, almost too big at this point, because we've got to fit dimensions in between here. Okay. If I go back to the 1:2, that's my next option. Again, it's kind of small. So I want something in between. Okay. So down, we're going to arrow down one more time, and you're going to notice at the very bottom, it says we have the option to do user defined. User defined. That's the one we want to click on. Okay. And we're going to change our scale from 1:2 to 1.5, 1 to 1.5. And we're going to hit OK. And that made it just a little bit bigger, right? We're now proportionally, I think it looks much better on the piece of paper. It still gives us the ability to have dimensions in between things, but it's not too big or not too small. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my front view here. Okay. And I'm just going to hover over it, and I'm going to just drag it down a little bit when I get those 4, and I'm going to just about right there. When we place views, okay, this is kind of an eyeball, trying to make it look good. We don't want it all on one side. We don't want it all on the other side. We want to kind of have it middle-ish, and we want to have room between so we can place our dimensions. Remember, if I go back to my, not on my assignment, I want to go back to module 4, the learning activity. Here is my guide right here. This is what I'm going for. So if I look here, let's see, you'll notice that that's about the size that we have. Actually, this one is 1.25 to 1. So maybe we'll make that a little bit different. Okay. So, so that's what we're going for. And then we're going to start adding some of these dimensions in here. Now, another thing that we need to do is you need to remove your tangent edges. You guys probably have these edges in the front view here. Do you have a solid line coming down here on the right? On each one of these sides? Okay, if you do, you probably do, you're going to right click over the top of your front view, for instance. And you're going to notice in the middle of that menu about, you have tangent edge. You want to click tangent edges removed. Okay, those are extra lines that we don't want in there. We always want to remove those. Okay. And I'm going to switch it to the 1.25. So let's go back down to user defined. I thought it looked good on there. So 1.25. There we go. So just a little bit bigger. Now, the other thing that we can do too, when views are an orthographic projection, they have to stay the same scale. But this one over here, that's our isometric, we can make that one smaller, which I do like to be smaller, just not to take up space. So I'm going to left click on that view. And down here where it says scale, I can use a custom scale, and I'm going to make that one 1.5 to make it a little bit, oopsie. 1 to 1.5. So you have to have 1:1.5. And then we should be good. So I think that's perfect sizing. So now you're going to notice that down here, it should be 1 to 1.25. And then this one I had at 1.5. Okay, any questions so far? So you've got two views in orthographic projection, one up in the corner that is an isometric, and you've got on your WCTC border. Okay. Next step, we are going to fill in our title block. All right. Now you should have seen that right here, the title block filled in with whatever the file name was on your actual model. Okay, so UBracket Now, one of the rules of detailed drawing is that all text on a drawing is in caps. So if you do not have this in caps, guess what? You've got to go up and you've got to change your file name and rename it so that it's all in caps. All right. And that you're going to want to do going forward from now on, because that's going to be your part name all the time. If you didn't name it UBracket Tutorial and it just says part 1 in here, you have to name it what it's called. Okay, so it's a UBracket Tutorial. Now you'll notice that we have some things to fill in here. So to do that, we're going to go to the Annotations tab and we're going to go to Note. Annotations tab and Note. We're going to click on Note. And now you're going to get a dialog box on the end of your cursor. And in material here, we're going to click, and I don't know what material. I think I just had steel. Okay, just generic. And then we're going to go down to drawn by. This is going to be your initials. Do not write out your name. Okay, so it's going to be like, for me, it's KRR. Always your initials. You never write out your name. Otherwise, people are going to know that you don't know what you're doing.
How did you get to the note under annotation?
It's the A. So annotation and then the A. Yep. All right. Now, if you end up putting something in and you drop it and you have to, and you want to edit it, just double click it and it goes into a text editing mode. So then we want to put in 7/2/2024 for the date. And then the last thing you're going to do is you're going to add a part number. Okay. Let's see, edit note. You're going to add a part number. Part number just needs to be 5 digits and it's going to be numbers. Do not put all 1s or all 2s. Okay. Do 1, 2, 5, 9, 8 or something like that. Okay. Just a generic, but just a number. It's going to be a part number. And then to stop that mode, you just left click on the outside and hit escape to end that command. Okay. And again, if you need to go in and change any, you're going to double click on it and it goes into a text editing mode. And then you can just change whatever you want to on each one. Okay. And escape. You will not be able to change the part name. Okay. Because that's tied to your file name, what you saved it as. Okay. So again, I'm going to be looking, are they all caps? Otherwise, you're going to get a point off if it's not, all right? All text on a drawing is all caps all the time. Okay, so now if you want to hit F to fit it to screen, or you want to roller in and out to kind of do your zooming in and out, you can do that as well. What I'm going to do here is we are going to save this now as a drawing. It's going to take whatever the file name was, the model name is. So it's going to be file, and we're just going to hit save. Okay. And you're going to notice that it's going to come up here, and the file type is going to be a DRW. That's a SolidWorks drawing file. And that's exactly what we want it to be. And you're going to keep it the same file name as the model, but you could, change it here if you want to make it all caps. And then we're going to hit save. Okay. Now you won't have the asterisk up here anymore. Now, what I am going to do is I'm going to close this. Okay. And I'm going to close my model. I'm now going to go to my directory, and I want to look, okay, mechanical design files. I'm going to navigate to where that particular model was. Now, this was my UBracket tutorial. You're going to notice that I have a UBracket tutorial, and the file type over here, I've got a part document, and then I've got a UBracket tutorial drawing document. Okay. So when you have a model, that's just the part, and then now it created another file in there that is going to be the drawing. They are tied together. What I want to let you know is that they will always be in the same directory. Do not move your drawing files to a different place, because then they're going to be lost. They're going to be looking for their model. And if the model isn't there for them to pull from, it's going to be like, you're going to be pulling up your drawing, and there's going to be like spaces where there was views, and they're not going to be there anymore. Okay. So this is parametric. Now, you're going to notice that you're going to have that for each one of the parts that you create. You're going to have a model file, and you're going to have a drawing file in the same directory. Don't move those around. Keep them in the same place. Otherwise, they're going to lose their connection. Okay. Let's go back, and we're going to open up. Now, you don't have to have the model open when you have the drawing open. So we can just open up just the drawing itself. So I'm going to go to the drawing, and I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to leave the part closed for right now. Okay. All right. And now we're ready to start some dimensioning, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop this recording here, and then we'll start a new recording with the dimensioning.